guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to update you on what I've been reading for these past couple months. I haven't done a reading update since I think March. Now while I don't have a lot of books to talk about in this reading update, there are quite a lot of new releases in this. I think more than half of these books that I'm going to talk about have been released in 2024. I actually don't think I've ever read so many new releases, but I've been trying to get myself out of a reading slump and I've been trying to find new and exciting books to kind of help me do that. So which one of these books actually helped me out of a reading slump? Alright, so the first book I want to talk about is A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. Now this book follows a man grieving the loss of his wife and his subsequent attempts at ending his own life. But all of his attempts keep getting ruined by his meddling neighbors. So this one was actually a book club read. It's pretty far out of my comfort zone. As you're all aware, I read tons of horror and thriller books on this channel, and I don't really read much that I would probably consider literary fiction like this one was. But in this case, I'm glad I did. I ended up giving this one 4 stars, so it wasn't quite a 5-star read for me. The reason this was 4 and not 5 stars is because I really struggled to pick it up and want to read it. If it wasn't for the pressure of book club or building it into my nightly routine, I probably would have really struggled to finish this one. It might have even ended up as a DNF. I was able to get this done, and every time I picked it up, it was really hard to put it down. So while it couldn't be a 5-star for me because I didn't want to pick it up and read it, it ended up being 4 instead of 3 because it was so hard for me to put down. I also thought the storyline was not only funny, but it was also really beautiful. And so again, I'm really glad that I was able to stretch out of my comfort zone and kind of discover such a well-written and compelling book like this one. Now I've actually already done kind of a full review on this book, but the next book I read was one of my book of the month books called Hereafter by Amy Lynn. This book follows a woman before, during, and after the sudden loss of her husband and her subsequent and ongoing grief journey. Again, I've talked about this one before. It was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved this book. It's written in free verse, which for me not only was a unique experience, but it also made it really easy to read. Every chapter was just so short that I was like, I got time for another one. So I was able to finish this book in one sitting. I think I finished this book in about 3 hours. It was also extremely compelling and really helped me paint a better picture of what grief really is like. So again, really love this book. I'll link the full video on it where I talk more in depth about it, but this was a 5-star read for me. Highly recommended if you're looking to read a memoir and kind of explore that genre. Now, similarly, these next 3 videos I did a reading vlog on, so I kind of get into my full thoughts with each of them, so these next 3 are gonna kind of be pretty quick. But the next book that I read was A Haunting on the Hill by Elizabeth Hand. Now this is an adaptation of The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, but it's updated and put into modern day, and it follows a group of actors who are using Hill House as a place to kind of get their play ready for its debut. I wanted so much more out of this book. I wanted to give it 5 stars so badly, but I just couldn't. It was one of those books where eventually I was just like, I need to read this and I need to get it over with. I think my biggest gripe with it is that it was basically the original, but with a slightly different ending and set in the 2020s. And I wish that Elizabeth Hand would have taken a lot more creative liberties with it and really would have updated the story, like how Mike Flanagan did in Netflix's The Haunting of Hill House. So the next book I read was Thunderstruck by Erik Larson. So this is a book about the invention of transatlantic communication, and it also follows a murder committed in the early 1900s. So I gave this one 4 stars. I've read almost all of Erik Larson's books, and I think this is my least favorite, but not because this is a bad book. I think it just took too long to get to the main events of the book. I was promised this chase across the Atlantic Ocean for this mysterious killer, and that only ended up being 50 pages right at the end. Now, since I've read his other books, I knew that I could expect it to be pretty slow. But for me, his other books were about something that was a little more interesting, I think, than this. So the lead up was compelling and exciting and engaging kind of on its own. Where with this one, I just did not care. I just didn't care about most of the book. Which sucks because I really do enjoy Erik Larson books, but this one just wasn't particularly for me. But I ended up giving it 4 stars because it is good. It is a good book, but it kind of failed by comparison in my eyes, compared to his other incredible books that I've really enjoyed. And the last book that I shared in my reading vlog was Just the Nicest Couple by Mary Kubecka. So this book follows 2 characters, one a wife who's looking into the disappearance of her husband, and the other a husband who's trying to help his wife cover up a possible murder. Now this ended up being a 5-star review for me. I finished this book in slightly more than 24 hours, so it met my requirements of it being easy to pick up and hard to put down. And I wanted to recommend it within like 100 pages of the book. I really think that the way it was told was compelling, engaging, easy to read, exciting for me to read, and I really liked how she ended up telling the story through the two characters. I think the choice to tell it through these two characters was very interesting, and so I really enjoyed that. Alright, so these last two books were actually Book of the Month picks for me. My May pick was The Return of Ellie Black by Emiko Jean. In this book, a detective is investigating the disappearance of Ellie Black when she mysteriously turns up after being gone for 2 years and refuses to talk about her experience. So this one was very nearly a 5-star read for me. I ended up giving it 4 stars, but throughout most of the book, I was pretty sure it would end up being 5 stars. Unfortunately, the ending in this one kind of ruined it for me. 2 main problems with it, and both center on the fact that a lot of the events just seemed very unbelievable. Honestly, I just really didn't believe the killer's / abductor's motive in this one. It just seemed like such a petty thing for them to do and such a petty reason for them to be like, I'm now gonna commit this crime that has lasted for so long and is especially heinous. When it was kind of revealed, I was kind of like, really? That's why? I really wanted to kind of see their point of view, I guess, or understand their reasoning a lot more than I was able to. Again, it just seemed really unbelievable. Again, I love this book up until the last 50 pages or so, and I was turned off by just one too many of the coincidences in this story. It actually did remind me a lot of a Criminal Minds episode, which I really liked, so if you like police procedurals with kind of messed up crimes more than what you would maybe get in your traditional like Law and Order episode, I think this one would be a great one for you. It reminded me a lot of some of their darker episodes, so definitely check that out if that's what you're into. And then my Book of the Month pick for actually February was The Resort by Sarah Och. So this book is about 2 people who are separately investigating the murders of vacationers at a Thai resort. So this one had 3 stars for kind of similar reasons to The Return of Ellie Black. Wanted to love it, liked reading it, but just too many things were unbelievable and kind of took me out of the narrative. So again, too many coincidences in this one. All of the clues that they found were by accident, not by like their cleverness or how smart they were or looking in the right places. It was more just accidental, and it kind of reminded me of like a children's mystery in that way, where like, oh look, the clue happens to be right in front of us. And I just wanted something a little more clever, a little more higher level out of their investigations. I wanted the reveals to be more about the skills of the characters rather than them just kind of like happening upon vital information in this one. It kind of felt like she knew where she wanted the ending to go, but kind of struggled with getting the clues in the characters' laps in a way that was clever and made sense. So instead they were just kind of plopped in there. But I really loved the setting in this one. It was a super original idea, and I do think it added a lot to the storyline. The idea of being trapped on a remote Thai island, where basically everyone has a reason to be there, and all of them are hiding from something. But overall, I love the setting in this one. I thought it was super original, not something that I've seen before. I think it added to the narrative overall, the idea that they're trapped on this island, surrounded by people who are all hiding their true reasons for being on this island. So overall, that's what I've been reading these past couple of months. I wish there were more books to share, but like I mentioned, I was in a reading slump for the majority of these past 3 months, so I'm just impressed that I was able to read so much even in the middle of a reading slump. But I think I'm out of it, and I'm looking forward to the next couple of books I have on my TBR list, so I think we're in the clear. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you've been enjoying lately and what you think I should check out next, and I will see you next time.